The first thing I noticed was how quiet the house sounded when it decided I didn't belong in it anymore. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. The wrong kind. The kind that presses against your ears until you realize something has already gone missing. I was 13 years old when my parents left me behind with a yellow sticky note and a lie. It was stuck crooked on the refrigerator door, right above a magnet shaped like the Grand Canyon, one of those souvenirs adults buy when they're pretending family trips mean something. Staying at a friend's. Back in a week. Love you. No signatures. No explanation. Just my mother's handwriting. Elegant, careful, emotionally distant. The same handwriting she used on birthday cards. She forgot to personalize. I stood there for a long time, backpack still slung over one shoulder, rereading the note, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something kinder if I stared hard enough. They didn't. It was my birthday. They left that morning. By noon, my older sister Madison had already posted a photo online. Pink suitcase, sunglasses, airport smile, family time. My younger sister, Chloe, followed a few minutes later with palm tree emojis and a caption about making memories. My name didn't appear anywhere. I told myself it was temporary, that this was some kind of misunderstanding, that maybe they were surprising me, that someone would come back. I waited on the front porch with my backpack balanced on my knees, the summer heat sticking my shirt to my skin. I watched cars pass. I watched shadows shift. I watched the sun slide lower, like it was tired of waiting too. No one came. By nightfall, the streetlights flickered on, one by one, and a neighbor's dog barked at me like I didn't belong on my own steps. That should have been my first clue. Inside, the house smelled stale leftover detergent, dust, and something faintly burned. I heated a frozen burrito I didn't even like and ate it standing at the counter, pretending the microwave's hum counted as conversation. The first night, I slept in my clothes. The second day, I told myself they'd made a mistake. The third day, I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. By the fourth, a quieter thought began whispering in the back of my mind, one I tried not to hear. Maybe they meant it. Being the middle child teaches you a specific kind of invisibility. Madison was the achiever honor roll, varsity letters, teachers who remembered her name. Chloe was the miracle dance, recitals, braces, themed birthday parties, with cupcakes that matched the decorations. And me? I was responsible, which adults say when they really mean convenient. But being overlooked is different from being abandoned. One hurts quietly, the other echoes. By the 6th day, I started spending more time at the library, stacking borrowed books like armor in my arms, so I wouldn't look as alone as I felt. The heat outside shimmered hard enough to blur the sidewalk. That's when the black car slowed beside the curb. It didn't belong on our street. Too polished, too deliberate, like it had taken a wrong turn from someone else's life. The window slid down. Lena. My name sounded unfamiliar in his voice, careful, uncertain. I turned. A man sat behind the wheel, silver hair at the temples, posture straight, eyes sharp but not unkind. Recognition hit me late and awkwardly, like a memory I hadn't been told I was allowed to keep. Uncle Victor? He hadn't come to family gatherings in years. My mother called him difficult, said he thought he was better than everyone else. I'd later realize that what she meant was he didn't tolerate chaos. His gaze dropped to my backpack, my sweat-damp hair, the way I stood like I was bracing for impact. "Why are you out here alone?" he asked. "Where are your parents?" "Florida," I said. The word felt ridiculous, like saying they'd moved to the moon. He exhaled slowly, not angry, not surprised, just resigned. "I see," he murmured. as if confirming something he'd suspected for a long time. Then he opened the door. "Get in," he said. "You're not walking anywhere tonight." Every safety lecture I'd ever heard screamed in my head. But hunger has its own voice, and it's louder than fear. The car smelled like leather, and something clean and expensive. Not perfume, not cologne, just order. He didn't drive me home. He drove me to a diner with cracked red booths and pie slices trapped under glass domes. When the burger and milkshake arrived, I stared at them like they might disappear if I blinked. He didn't ask questions at first. He let me eat. Only after I'd slowed down did he ask, "What do you like in school?" "History," I said. "The parts people get wrong." That made him smile. Just a little. When we pulled up to my house, he didn't park. He let the engine idle. "Pack a bag," he said. I blinked. "What?" "You're not staying alone in a dark house while your parents pretend sunscreen is more important than their child." The sentence landed heavy. Some moments don't feel dramatic when they happen. They just open quietly, like a door you didn't know was unlocked. And once you step through, there's no going back. Uncle Victor's house didn't smell like childhood. There were no half-burned candles, no forgotten laundry, no faint panic hiding beneath air freshener. It smelled clean, not sterile, intentional. Like every object knew why it existed and where it belonged. That scared me more than chaos ever had. He unlocked the door, stepped aside, and let me enter first. Not as a guest, not as a burden, just first. "Bathroom's down the hall," he said. "Guest room's yours. Sheets are clean. Towels are folded. Not decorative. Use them." I nodded too quickly, afraid if I spoke, my voice would give me away. The room was quiet in a way that didn't accuse me. The bed looked too perfect to sit on, the blanket tucked tight like it expected discipline. I perched on the edge, hands folded, backpack still on my shoulders. Victor leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "You don't have to sleep like you're waiting to be yelled at," he said. I hadn't realized I was. "I don't want to mess anything up," I whispered. He raised an eyebrow. "They're sheets, Lena. Not evidence. They can be washed." That sentence landed deeper than it should have. At home, things weren't meant to be used. They were meant to look untouched. Couch pillows that no one leaned on. Towels reserved for guests who never came. Silence preserved, like a family heirloom. Here, things existed for living. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was afraid, but because my body didn't know what to do with safety yet. It kept waiting for the catch. Morning came quietly. No shouting, no slammed doors. Just sunlight and the sound of a glass being set gently on the counter. "Orange juice," Victor said. "Real glass. Don't panic." I held it like it might shatter from judgment. At home, our cups were mismatched plastic souvenirs from places we'd stopped loving years ago. This glass was heavy, solid. It didn't apologize for taking up space. At school that day, when the teacher asked who would be attending the scheduled parent meeting, Victor answered, without hesitation, "I will." 2 words. No conditions. No disclaimers. Something in my chest loosened, something I hadn't realized had been clenched for a long time. Generosity confused me. When he bought me jeans and a sweater, I hid the tags, convinced he'd want them back. When he gave me lunch money, I saved it and ate crackers instead. Spending felt like trespassing. It took 12 days before he caught me crouched on the kitchen floor at midnight, eating dry cereal out of the box like a thief. He didn't yell. He just stared for a moment and said, "Are you practicing to be a raccoon?" I froze. "I didn't want to take too much," I said. He opened the fridge, heated pasta, and set the bowl in front of me. "If it's in this house," he said calmly, "it belongs to the people who live here." He paused, then added, "That includes you." I nodded, eyes burning, determined not to cry into the pasta. Crying felt excessive, like I'd owe something afterward. Days passed, then weeks. No calls, no texts, no accidental check-ins from my parents. Madison's feed filled with beach photos. Chloe posed with shells pressed to her cheek. My name never appeared. Victor never commented on it. He noticed everything, but he never weaponized it. He came to school meetings, took notes when counselors said words like quiet, potential, underengaged, bought me a desk so I wouldn't have to do homework on the floor. Scheduled doctor and eye appointments I hadn't known were overdue. He called it maintenance, as if I were worth maintaining. I tested boundaries without meaning to, stayed out late once, not knowing what counted as late. When I crept in past midnight, bracing for impact, he handed me a sandwich. "Glad you're alive," he said. "Next time, text. Otherwise, I'll assume you're in a ditch and start pricing shovels." The even tone disarmed me more than anger ever could. It sounded like care, but with structure. Sometimes he took me to his office, told me to watch how people spoke, how they shook hands, how tone mattered more than volume. "Half of success," he said once, "is showing up when others invent excuses. The rest is not apologizing for existing." I wrote that down later. That first holiday, I expected something polite, a card, a gift receipt. Instead, he handed me a leather-bound journal with my initials pressed into the cover. "Write what you notice," he said, "especially the small things." That night, my phone buzzed. A photo from my parents, matching pajamas, perfect tree. No message. No, "we miss you." I stared at it for a long time. Then I opened the journal and wrote, "Things here are meant to be used, not feared. If it's in this house, it belongs to me too." The words looked bold, borrowed. But when I closed the cover, something unfamiliar stirred inside me. Not safety. Not yet. But the outline of it. By 14, Uncle Victor had reached 2 conclusions about me. First, my posture was terrible. Second, whatever I was folding inward, it wasn't weakness. He started tapping my shoulder whenever I slouched. "Stand up, Lena," he'd say. "You're not punctuation. People listen more when you look like you believe yourself." At first, it sounded like something printed on a motivational poster. But I noticed things. Teachers held eye contact longer. Classmates didn't interrupt as much. Confidence, I learned, didn't arrive fully formed. It was something you practiced until your body stopped arguing with it. I started raising my hand, then speaking without rehearsing every sentence in my head. Then after Victor bribed me with pizza, I joined debate club. My first competition was a disaster and a miracle at the same time. My voice shook. My palms sweated through my note cards. I argued that cats made better pets and somehow won. In the back row, Victor grinned. Not loud, not flashy, the kind that said, "See, I told you." At home, he never lectured about ambition or gratitude. He lived them. When I asked for a new phone, he didn't say no. "How much have you saved?" he asked. I blinked. "None." "Then you don't want it yet." So I got my first job bagging groceries. My first paycheck felt unreal, like proof I existed on paper. I waved it at him like a trophy. He didn't take it. He drove me to the bank. "Rule of 2, he said. "Save half. Spend half. Enjoy today, without stealing from tomorrow." I rolled my eyes. Years later, I'd realized that sentence became the backbone of everything I built. Holidays stopped feeling like performances I hadn't auditioned for. Victor's Christmases were quiet, thoughtful. A used copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. A fountain pen that felt serious in my hand. A scarf he claimed matched my debate face. Meanwhile, my parents' photos kept coming. Mountains, beaches, celebrations. No invitations. The sting remained, but it no longer emptied me out. It reminded me that I was learning what family could look like when it wasn't curated. One Christmas, Victor handed me a small box. Inside was a silver keychain engraved with a mountain and a single letter, L. A work in progress, he said. I frowned. What is? He smiled. Both of us. I hugged him then. Awkward. Careful. Like we were translating a language neither of us spoke fluently yet. He didn't let go first. By 16, he started bringing me to his office during summers. I was terrified. Press suits, polished desks. People who carried themselves like gravity favored them. Before introductions, he leaned in and whispered, "Relax." They put their pants on, one leg at a time. Some fall over doing it. I laughed. The fear dissolved. He taught me things school never touched. How to listen before speaking. How to hear what people meant instead of what they said. How to shake a hand like you meant it. Half the world bluffs, he told me once. The other half apologizes for existing. Do neither. At 17, the contrast between where I came from and where I was headed felt sharp enough to draw blood. Madison posted college acceptance photos, tagging everyone but me. Chloe posed beside a new car. Thanks, Mum and Dad. Victor noticed my silence that night. They don't check in, he said casually, stirring his tea. Not even on your birthday. I shrugged. Then he asked quietly, how long do you plan to wait for them to remember you? The question split the room open. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. That night, I stopped waiting. Senior year, before prom, Victor gave me a slender silver bracelet with a tiny engraved L. Don't chase approval, he said. Approval is borrowed. Chase peace. That one's yours to keep. I laughed and told him he sounded like a fortune cookie. Then open it before it goes stale, he said. That night, under cheap lights and loud music, I laughed without checking who noticed. No leash pulling me backward. Just me, unfinished, but finally visible. College had never been part of the story my parents wrote for me. Madison was the prodigy. Chloe was the favorite. I was the one expected to be realistic. Victor never said college was mandatory. He just treated my future like it was something worth engineering. We spent nights at the kitchen table surrounded by spreadsheets, scholarship lists, and financial aid forms. He insisted on strategy. Scholarships first, grants second. My help fills the gaps, not the base. So I hunted. There was a scholarship for left-handed students. I taught myself to write with my left hand. Another for descendants of beekeepers. I wrote an essay about balance and ecosystems and pretended I hadn't once sprinted screaming from a third-grade B. When the acceptance letter from Western Ridge University arrived, Victor studied it like a contract he'd personally negotiated. Congratulations, he said evenly. His eyes gave him away. Now go prove them right. Move-in day was chaos. Parents cried in doorways. Balloons bobbed. Cameras flashed. Mine didn't come. Victor carried everything up 3 flights in August heat and refused to let me take the heavy boxes. Annual workout, he said. Don't tell my trainer. When the room was set, I felt a familiar ache twist inside me. He noticed. Don't look for them here, he said gently. Look forward. Before leaving, he handed me an envelope. If you ever doubt you belong, check your reflection. You got here without them. I taped it inside my planner and kept it there for 4 years. The first months were brutal. I felt like an intruder. Second-hand shoes, detergent-scented clothes, confidence held together with tape. Victor called every Sunday. Still surviving on ramen and stubbornness. Barely. Good. Struggle keeps you sharp. His voice steadied me. Sophomore year, I met Ethan Brooks at a community garden. He knew how to plant things. I pretended to know how shovels worked. He didn't try to save me. He respected me. That mattered. One night he asked, "Why do you double-check everything?" I hesitated. Because I was the mistake nobody fixed. He didn't offer clichés. He just said, "Then I won't overlook you." By graduation, everything aligned. I earned my civil engineering degree, the art of building what lasts. Victor sat front row, clapping too loudly. Afterward, he handed me a modest silver pen. "Use this to sign contracts you'll be proud of," he said. Life after college was steady. Work, love, Friday dinners with Victor. Until they stopped. He cancelled dinners, napped too often, forgot things, trembled pouring coffee. We didn't talk about it. Then one Tuesday, the call came. He collapsed at work. In the hospital, he joked. Still himself, but smaller. "You exceeded every expectation," he whispered. "You were never extra." Months later, he gave me a gold-wrapped box. Inside was the same leather journal from when I was 13, now filled. Notes, jokes, advice, memories. Last page. "If they ever try to erase you again, remember this. You already wrote your own chapter." I hugged him tightly. Too tightly. He laughed. "Careful, kid." It was the last time I heard it. When the call came, I didn't answer right away. It was early, the kind of morning where the world still feels undecided. The phone buzzed again, and again. When I finally picked up, the voice on the other end was careful, too careful. "Lena, I'm so sorry. Victor passed away in his sleep." The room went quiet in a way I'd only ever felt once before years ago, standing in a kitchen with a note on the fridge. Some losses don't crash into you. They turn the volume down on everything else. The days that followed blurred together. Paperwork, condolences, decisions I never imagined I'd be the one making. Victor had named me executor. Of course he had. I knew which tie he called serious, which flowers he hated, which jokes he'd want told quietly, not dramatically. The service was small, elegant, honest. And then they arrived. My parents, Madison, Chloe, dressed in black, that cost more than my first semester of textbooks. My mother grabbed my hands. "We had no idea you were so close to Victor." "You never asked," I said gently. Madison smiled tightly. "So, do you know when the will reading is?" That was the moment something in me settled completely. The attorney's office smelled like leather and certainty. Heavy furniture, perfect posture. My family sat across from me, restless with expectation. The lawyer cleared his throat. "To my relatives who remembered me only when my bank balance suited them," Victor wrote, "I leave nothing." Silence. "To my niece, Lena Harper, abandoned at 13. Never absent since I leave everything." 4 pairs of eyes snapped toward me. "You manipulated him," my father snapped. "No," I said quietly. "You left me." The will was airtight. I stood, thanked the attorney, and walked out. Outside, sunlight hit the glass building and reflected my face back at me. Not the girl waiting on the porch. A woman standing where she chose. That night, on the balcony of Victor's house, my house now, I opened the journal one last time. "You were right," I whispered. I had written my own chapter, and I would keep writing.